Good morning. My name is Kai, and I'm Carlota's dog. Woof!
Hi, my name is Simon, and I'm Pablo's cat. Meow.
Today we are here to talk about what has been going on in our houses for the last few weeks.
Our owners have been working really hard on their International Consumer Behaviors Project to please Professor Evelyn and the greatest grade. Meow.
They have been analyzing and learning about the sports industry and how it has been affected by COVID-19.
They're focusing their study into two main countries so they can analyze the main similarities and differences on this topic.
These two countries are the USA and France. While my owner knows more about the USA, Pablo has become an expert in the consumer behavior of French people towards the sports industry.
Now we're going to tell you guys a little about their project to help them introduce the topic and explain in easy words all of the findings.
To start off, I would like to talk about the way USA citizens behaved towards sports before the pandemic started. USA has always been a country where people tend to practice a lot of sports. Schools prioritize these kind of activities after school and believe it is essential to complement the education of the children. Adults try to find a gap between their working schedules to be able to do sports. Sportswear is a global market that includes sneakers, apparel, and wearables. This market had a turnover of 353 billion euros in the United States. Wow! The US market, which accounts only 4% of the total population, accounted for 37% of sportswear sales. The US spends approximately 56 billion euros in sports each year.
Oh, that's amazing. Meow. On the other hand, France, before the pandemic, was also a very active country, having in 2017 almost 64% of its population playing sports at least once a week. Almost 43 million people. That's insane. Also, more than 16 million people belong to a sports club. Clubs like rugby, football, and basketball are very popular in this country. As in the USA, sports are a very important part of children education, being a mandatory subject for all pupils from nursery to high school. Now, at its sports industry, France spends more than 38.1 billion euros annually on sports, which is like 2% of its total GDP.
COVID
Meow.
19 affected hardly on how consumers behave, at least in the US.
In France was no different. Everything changed before and after the pandemic hit. Meow.
Woof, woof. My owner told me that people from the US before COVID would always go to the gym in between classes and after or before their work. They would always find a spot in the day to go to the gym to take spinning classes, yoga, or Pilates. It was as essential for them to exercise at least once every 2 days for adults and every day for children. They were also very into buying sports clothes. They would never, ever, ever miss sales and would always take the chance to buy whatever they were missing.
My owner also told me that before the lockdowns, French people would also love to do sports outside and go to the gym. Some of them doing sports like horse riding, rugby, or volleyball. They were into buying sport shoes and also sport equipment. It was essential to them to buy their gym membership always.
But when pandemic started, people changed their behavior. They would not go to the sports classes any longer as they were not allowed, and team sports were also canceled. For the first week, many tried to follow classes via Zoom, but while many enjoyed it, many thought it was starting to get boring for them. They started to buy sports elements that they could take outside and enjoy doing sports on their own. They bought mainly canoes, bikes, and golf clubs.
For France, it was very different. They started consuming more clothes on the internet and started exercising at home through video chats. They couldn't go to the gym anymore, practice their sport outside. sports that they loved. Many of them stopped even consuming in the sports industry at all because it wasn't even a priority to them. And it was very depressing to stay inside all the time. Also, some of them missed even watching some football and rugby matches.
I know, Simon. You know, our owners did a research on the consumers of both countries. Why don't you tell the guys about it?
Sure, it was a research to understand all of the changes before and after real people have been experiencing in both countries regarding their sport consumption.
Woof, woof. And what did they say?
Meow, I stole my owner's phone today. You want me to play you some of the responses?
Sure, I would love to know about what do they think about their change in consumption and what this will be for them in the future.
Meow, amazing. Let me find the recordings.
Now, I would say I buy more products than I used to before because there's more options. And do you think
That's the American girl Pablo interviewed.
like maybe I consume more like online sports, like online programs, and maybe I would do more sports like by myself at home rather than going to the gym?
And that was the French girl Pablo interviewed. Maybe Pablo and Carlota can give more on that for the class now that we have like introduced the topics on the interviews.